Downstairs now. 2-2 to Laurie. Strike 3 call. Breaking ball on the outside corner. Laurie turns around and talks about it to Mike DeMuro. He had his say, and he will go back to the dugout. Remember, the Blue Jays are a man short, so they can ill afford to lose anybody by an ejection. There's an ejection. John Gibbons is out of this game. Mike DeMuro throws him out. Bottom of the ninth, the 5-5 game.
Francisco's struggling, so he's going to drop a bunt down, and it's perfect. Deadens it on that grass. Laurie comes in and fires it, and watch how Edwin hits that one. Watch the replay as he stretches out, and it almost pops out of his glove. He closes it very quickly to record the out.
Well, I'll tell you what, Edwin has really played well, and now the umpires are getting here. This is kind of interesting. It didn't look like it was solicited, but Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, they're probably talking about that ball being snow coned in the glove. And they're asking each other, do you see that ball hit the dirt and everything else? But Edwin picked it clean.
Yeah, I don't think he bobbled it.
No.
He didn't bobble it.
And that's the question I think they're discussing right now.
It looked like it almost popped out, but then he closed his glove and then used his bare hand. Watch the ending play here. Stretches out, has it, starts to pop out right there, but then he closes it with the other hand, and it's a good play.
That's really interesting because Francisco is across the bag. And if they determine that they did call a bobble, that's right. They're calling him safe.
That's not a bobble.
No, it's not a bobble at all. He never bobbled it at all, and Carnacion pleading his case with Chad Fairchild. Now Gibbons is going to come out. And Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief, and he, to me, is the one that initiated this discussion. He was at second base. He came in, and that is a tough call. But umpires are always instructed. If you've got something that you think isn't right, bring it up and we'll talk about it. But Gibbons, he's going to get tossed over this.
Yeah, and he should, because he's got to stick up for his pitcher. He's got to stick up for his first baseman. This could be 2 games in a row. But they called bobble. I didn't see any bobble at all from Edwin.
And there he gets tossed, and Jeff Kellogg is walking away, and Gibbons, I don't blame him one bit.
Nope.
But the ball may have been sitting on the dirt, and Edwin picked it up. And the thing that allowed them to reverse the call was the fact that Francisco was across the bag. And Francisco hustled down the line. I mean, he thought he had a chance for a hit. Laurie made a great play. Edwin made a great play.
But they called bobble. I mean, he made it with his hands like it was a bobble, and I didn't see that at all. I saw Edwin reach out the ball. The ball didn't go down into the pocket. It was in the webbing.
But I think the ball was touching the dirt while it was in the webbing, and that's how they could determine it was a bobble. Take another look at it. Watch the ball. It's on the dirt right there. And you see how he picked it off the dirt?
Yeah.
And that's how they called a bobble, because there was so much of the ball that was in the dirt there. And Francisco was past the bag. And they call him out, and then Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, initiated a discussion between the umpires, and that led to Gibbons being ejected.
Encarnacion at third, Lind at first. 2 outs, the 1-2. Breaking ball. And the home plate umpire, Dan Molino, did not like the reaction of Brett Laurie as Laurie dropped his helmet and his bat at home plate, and he just got thrown out of the game. And Laurie, it didn't appear as though he said anything, was walking down toward third base when Dan Molino threw him out, and now Laurie's going to carry on a conversation with Tony Randazzo, and now John Gibbons is saying, hey, look it, the pitches were up. And I think John Gibbons, he also just got a run.
Well, 1-1 to Kawasaki. He fouls it off. Tried the bunt. Rally caps her out at Rogers Center. Blue Jays really looked like they were off and running. They had scored 4 runs, and Gibbons is arguing now that the ball wasn't bunted. Kawasaki didn't appear to put up much of a complaint.
Breaking ball. Did it hit him?
Well, he didn't hit it with his bat, but you can see the umpire immediately holding up his hands to indicate foul. Gibbons is probably asking Alan Porter, why didn't you get some help on that? But it was a breaking ball. Now he's throwing Gibbons out of the ball game. He's saying now you can't ask for help in a situation like that, and Porter appeared to suggest, no, I saw it all the way. And John Gibbons has been ejected from this game.
Got the fly ball, a couple of walks and a single. He's going to have to make a pitch, get it back together.
Vernon Wells goes after the first pitch, and Rajay Davis, no catch. It signaled a trap, and now they've got 2 runners at second. They tag out Stewart and tag out Stewart, try to tag out Ichiro. The ball hit the ground. The first base umpire, Scott Berry, made the call initially and made it very quickly. So now we got all sorts of confusion. The Yankees have 2 base runners at second base. Chris Stewart is leaving the field. He's been tagged out. Now John Gibbons is out. Scott Berry went out into shallow right field and called it a trap immediately. So it's a base hit for Wells. Nunez came in to score.
Rajay's saying that he caught that ball, and I have to agree with him. I don't think that ball short hopped. I thought he got his glove underneath it. And maybe the argument is there, but he was taking the ball out of his glove.
The umpire called it a trap because he signaled that the ball was on the ground.
Okay.
And Scott Berry is getting an earful from John Gibbons. But Berry made the call from his first base position as he went out toward center and made it quickly.
So he called it a trap, so it's a base hit. Now the runners, they weren't real sure. Stewart was at third base, and he thought the ball was caught.
And now Gibbons has been ejected from the game. It appeared on replay that Rajay caught the ball. Off-speed pitch is lifted into shallow center. Callaspa goes back. The ball hits and drops. Melky Cabrera goes to third. Bautista's out at second. Johnson did a terrific job of going to second. Now the umpires are going to convene on this.
I think John Gibbons came out and pointed that he wanted that to challenge. I guess that's why they're going to the crew chief right away, and they're going to go look at it.
Yeah, Gibbons didn't even come out to talk to the umpire. He indicated, I want to challenge that.
Heads up play, first of all, by Jim Johnson, the pitcher, to get out to second base, knowing that it was uncovered because the shortstop and the second baseman went out. The infield fly rule is not into effect because you got to be camped underneath the ball, and there was nobody camped underneath that ball, so the infield fly is out. But a heads-up play by Jim Johnson to cover second base.
Now the crowd reacting to the replay on the Jumbotron here at Rogers Center. But John Gibbons didn't hesitate. He said, hey, I got to take a shot here just in case. The play is under review. Here's Jim Johnson, the pitcher, who went right to second. Bautista looks like he's going to be safe. Get it right, obviously. They now have a decision. And the call on the field stands up. Now Gibbons is out to argue. And he's saying, well, we looked at it on the scoreboard, and now Ted Barrett is saying, wait a minute, you can't argue this. And he has thrown him out. And that's part of the rule once you get the review. It looks like Gibbons is pointing to the jumbotron. Said, I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
So Edwin Encarnacion is going to lose a hit. That's going to be a force out at second base. If you're scoring at home, it looked like the center fielder to Johnson. Force out. Melky Cabrera moved
as well. Here's a 1-2, and it's down and away. Maldonado jumps on it. Throw to second base is high and safe at second. That's a big play. Maldonado had a chance at an out, but the throw sailed a little bit.
And I think Segura thinks he got the tag on him. And here comes Jerry Narron. And Tolleson takes off. And let's see Segura here. He gets him on the back of the leg. Question is the hand in there?
This will be close. There's the tag. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out. Good call.
And they'll go to a replay challenge here. Remember, we're past the 7th inning, so this can be a crew chief challenge. The Brewers still have a challenge to use. So I guess it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah,
but
Quinn Walcott, the second base umpire, calling him safe. And here it is, clear as day. Gets him on the back of the knee, and Tolleson's not yet at second base. So good job by Gene Segura to bring Jerry Narron out. And you would think, and we've been surprised on
the calling umpire Quinn Walcott. Yep, this didn't take long at all. And you have to figure this is going to be an out, and it is. So Tolleson is out at second base. Boy, what a swing right there.
What a play by Martin Maldonado.
And a great tag by Segura.
Now does John Gibbons get thrown out now?
And Gibson's telling the whole plate umpire, says you can't come out here, John. You can't argue.
You gotta go. There he is.
He's
I guess
out.
he didn't want to stay in the game. I'm not sure what he's arguing about. I mean, it was clear that he was out on the replay.
So both managers have been ejected in this inning.
He's probably going back to that play with Kawasaki at first base. He's probably saying, when am I going to get a call here? I mean, he has a gripe on the Kawasaki play at first. It looked like Lucroy missed him, but clearly out on that play at second.
And Greg Gibson just sits there and takes it.
And Greg Gibson saying, hey, look, I have nothing to do with it. Here's the phone number back in Chelsea if you want to make a call.
Still waiting on an umpire.
facing of the second deck, dead center field.
Another breaking ball. Bautista is called out. And now he's thrown him out of the game. Angel Hernandez has thrown Bautista out of the game, and I'm not even sure Bautista knows it.
I don't think he knows it right now. John Gibbons is going to go to his defense right away. Angel Hernandez with the quick hook. Gibby's going to find out what was that all about.
Bautista called for the swing. And now John Gibbons out to talk with the first base umpire. Angel Hernandez has thrown Bautista out of the game here in the second inning. Bautista obviously aware now. I'm sure his teammates have told him, but that's awfully quick ejection. It didn't seem as though Bautista did anything to warrant being thrown out of the game.
He checked his swing and then got the call from the first base umpire. I don't know what Jose's reaction was to Angel Hernandez. Wait a minute, what?
He didn't say anything.
What did he do to get thrown out?
There was absolutely no reaction at all. Watch Bautista and look, he's looking at him and there's no reaction. He turns his back and you can't justify that. And Hernandez throws him out.
Wow. He must be having a bad day to throw him out for that. There goes Gibby. He's leaving the ballpark. And Bautista's still on there. He would look like he was looking right at Jose.
Yeah, he sure did, and that's what it looked like. That's why it was so odd to see Bautista. That's not a very good way to spend your birthday.
No. Where there just isn't many 3,000 hit guys in the history of the game.
Bautista gets hit by the pitch, and he has to go to first, and maybe here we go again. Now Matt Wieters steps up in front of Bautista, and C.B. Buckner warns both teams immediately. Obviously, there's a history between these two teams, and Buckner and Bautista now having a discussion, and here comes John Gibbons. Of course, Mike Wright wasn't even involved with the team when these two teams had their problems early in the season. And now Gibbons gets tossed. C.B. Buckner threw him out.
And from where I am sitting, John Gibbons is an innocent bystander right here. His guy gets hit, thrown out again. He wants to have an explanation. He goes out there and he gets thrown out. He's saying, why am I being warned right here? My guy hasn't even thrown a pitch near them. Their guy hits my guy. Why am I getting warned? And for Marco Estrada, Buck, I think he needs to be able to pitch inside against these hitters.
No question about it. Now Dale Scott, the crew chief, is coming in. Now Bautista is barking at the bench once again. I thought we were past this, but of course Bautista, he's got to stand up for himself. He gets hit on the first at bat. And Adam Jones is thinking, oh man, here we go again. And Jones was in the middle of it with Bautista on April 21st when Bautista was thrown at, and then they got into it, barking from the dugout. Delman Young then at the plate. Bautista tried to throw him out at first, and things got really sideways.
Umpires get warnings on days like today, don't they?
Heads up.
Heads up. Something might be happening, and I think that's why you saw the quick warning from C.B. Buckner. I think you saw the quick hook also. Well, it all goes back to this. This is back in April. This is young pitcher Garcia throws behind Bautista. This is about the third time that Jose been thrown at. And he responds with a home run, and now he's going to sit there and watch it. And he says, if you're going to throw at me and I hit a ball like that, I have the right to admire it. And here's what you were talking about, the barking going on between the two all-stars right there. And Jose saying, hey, that ball's behind me. And I'll tell you what, I thought it was over. It was almost 2 months ago.
Yeah. But Bautista's been hit 8 times by the Orioles, and you can understand his point. He's not a personal dartboard for this Oriole pitching staff. And Gibbons obviously very disappointed. This is a big series for both of these clubs. They come in hot. They've each won 8 of their last 10 games. Can't really see Valencia's hand as it passes home plate. It was blocked out by the catcher Hennigan. But the time in which this umpire review is taking suggests that it's really tough. Now they have a decision.
Wow. Wow.
And now John Gibbons, he is going to come out of the dugout.
I think he's owed an explanation right here. All right, tell me what you saw. Tell me what they said, because he never tagged him.
Gibbons can be arguing about the path to the plate. But then Jerry Davis can say, well, he had the ball and he moved to block the plate. But he's supposed to have a lane to slide to. Gibbons might get tossed right here. There he goes. And you can understand why Gibbons is upset, because there was no tag whatsoever. And the umpire, Jerry Davis, had called him out, indicating there was a tag.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that he could call it, right? He can't say he's out, but I don't know if he hit the plate. He called him out because he must have seen a tag on the play. The replay showed that he didn't tag him. And it looked like, at least from the Blue Jays standpoint, that he clipped the point of home plate with his hand. So that one's a mystery to me.
Now the Blue Jays have the longest postseason drought. Donaldson hollering at Jim Wolf, the home plate umpire, saying, "You're going to let him take shots at me all afternoon?" Up around my head twice, and you're not going to do anything about it. Gibbons is going to come out to intervene. Bautista was there first to keep Donaldson into the game.
You know what? And I think if you're Jim Wolf, you got to take this. You got to take it. Gibby's protecting his players. You got to just take it. You don't throw him out of the ball game.
If Jim Wolf doesn't initiate the warning in the first inning, none of this would have happened. The players would have settled it on the field. And now Donaldson obviously upset, and rightly so, when Madsen came up and in.
And now Josh Donaldson, now he has to refocus again. I mean, he was hot. Ball up and in. It's like, come on, man, that's 2 times in a row. So now as a hitter.
We got a lot of action in New York, even during the commercial break. Greg Gibson, the home plate umpire. This is Donaldson's second strike of his last at bat. He's called for the swing by Gibson. Donaldson didn't agree with it, and then he would subsequently strike out. They had a long little discussion about it, very camouflaged, and Donaldson turns to Gibson and says, "Are you sure?" And then Donaldson was called for the next swing on a check swing. And John Gibbons came out just like he was going to have a conversation in the park, just kind of strolled out to the dirt. And then Greg Gibson says, "What are you talking about? You're talking about balls and strikes? See ya."
Dude, that was quick. You know, he came out very nonchalant, very slow, like he just wanted to talk to him about something. I guess as soon as he mentioned balls and strikes or the strike zone, that was it. So Gibby's day is through.
So John Gibbons came out to discuss the situation with Greg Gibson, and home plate umpire threw him out of the game. I think Gibbons was just trying to give some support to Josh Donaldson. He made 2 check swings and was called for a swing on both. Eaton 0 for 2. He walked in the 6th off of Marco Estrada.
Get out of here!
John Tumpane has just thrown John Gibbons out, I believe. And Gibbons hasn't been pleased with the strike zone all night long.
Well, what he's talking about is after that check swing, it looked like somebody was getting on the third base umpire. And Tumpane interjected himself into that conversation and then threw Gibby out. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, I was talking to the third base umpire. I wasn't talking to you.
Dan Isonia is the crew chief on this umpiring crew. He is trying to usher John Gibbons back to the dugout. Home plate umpire John Tumpane has had the hitters upset with the strike zone, but it's been equal in my mind. Both teams have had a liberal strike zone call tonight.
Reacts to the swing, then that coach can tell him, hey, they're going.
Wow. That is a pitch that is coming for Aaron Sanchez. And
Dan Isonia is keeping an eye on Sanchez, and Gibbons has giving it to him, and now Sonia has to be blocked off by Sanchez.
And Russell Martin getting in there. Somebody yelled something after that pitch was called a ball, and you knew it was just a matter of time before John Gibbons got the heave-ho.
Tim Leeper was ejected earlier, and Gibbons has been upset with the umpiring all day long. Dan Iasonia has ejected him from this game.
The argument that Gibby's putting up right here is you're calling that pitch a strike for me. And I don't care if you call it a strike, but let's be consistent. So when my guy throws the ball there, and it appeared that Aaron Sanchez did to Odor, he didn't get the call. And that's what's upsetting John Gibbons and the Blue Jays right now.
Dale Scott, the crew chief, threw out Tim Leeper after a Donaldson fly ball in the 3rd inning. And now Gibbons, who has been questioning the strike zone all afternoon, is finally ejected.
Aaron Sanchez has so much comeback on his fastball. And that was right there. And I think it was Aaron who yelled something. And the home plate umpire took his mask off and was staring at him. He's an excitable kid. He made a good pitch. He wants to call. They just have not been able to hit him consistently.
Tulowitzki strikes out. Mike Winters calls him out, and once again Winters is probably going to hear it from the dugout.
And that'll take the mask off, and that will send John Gibbons. He's 2 for 2, getting thrown out.
John Gibbons was ejected in the game in Arlington in the 3rd inning for arguing balls and strikes. Mike Winters is the crew chief for this umpiring crew. He's been around a long time, and Gibbons and Winters have been in disagreement over the strike zone all night long.
Yeah, it isn't just this inning. There's a couple of innings it's been like this, and Gibby's had his ear in between innings.
In that game yesterday in Arlington, there were 8 total ejections in the ball game. Leeper and Gibbons were ejected in the 3rd inning in separate incidents. But you can see all the players are up there, and they appreciate their manager standing up for them.
Yeah, sticking up for them. You mentioned the 8 guys who were kicked out of yesterday's game. They're going to make a decision on that really quickly, aren't they?
Joe Torre has announced that he will announce the suspensions for the brawl yesterday in Arlington tomorrow. So that has come across the wire that the suspensions will be announced tomorrow. And so John Gibbons gets another ejection, and he wasn't pleased with the strike zone and voiced his displeasure.
And that's an automatic right there. Troy Tulowitzki thinks it's down. So does his manager. And when the face mask comes off, it's just a matter of time before that happens right there.
A terrific win for the Raptors to come back and get back into the series 2-1. And boy, they shot lights out last night.
Lights out, play great defense, and bury the Cavs. Phil Hughes, first pitch. This one 0 again. I don't know how he got out of the way of that one.
Think there's a little intent behind that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Donaldson homered his first time up, and that one's behind him. And Donaldson said, "What's going on here?
Let's go."
You don't even have to warn him. You can throw him out of the ball game if you think it was intentional. And Donaldson walking away, he can't afford to be ejected for a 2nd consecutive day. Then Hughes threw one right at his hip, and the next one's behind him. You can eject the pitcher without a warning being in place if you think it's intentional. And if that wasn't intentional, I've never seen one.
The last 2, haven't you been paying attention? What's happened the last couple of days and after the home run by Donaldson? And now Gibby's going to explain that to the home plate umpire.
Well, and Joe West is the veteran. He's an old school guy, and Gibby will go back a long way. He knows what was up with that. Donaldson got ejected for hollering at the Twins bench yesterday. Then he hits a home run, stares into the bench today. Then he makes a couple of great plays, and now Gibby gets thrown out.
Gibby's just trying to protect his players. Yesterday they were laughing and having a good time, Joe West and John Gibbons, and now this time he's got his finger in his chest.
Well, Joe West and John Gibbons, they had quite an exchange when Gibbons came back on Friday night at home plate, and now they're getting into it. But to his credit, Josh Donaldson did exactly what he had to do. He walked away from the umpire. He couldn't afford to get thrown out a second consecutive day.
No, and he's having a great game. We all know what it cost the Blue Jays yesterday, moving his bat out of the lineup. Today he's made 3 great defensive plays and he's hit a home run. Now let's see what happens if Phil Hughes is going to try and continue this.
Donaldson goes after that pitch and lifts it high in the air. Mauer's got room in foul territory and makes the catch. Well, let's give you some background into this incident. And Bautista, he's very concerned for his teammate. Here's Donaldson yesterday. He grounds out and then jogs back to the dugout, and Donaldson got thrown out by Toby Basner, and you can see Donaldson saying, hey, I was yelling at them in the dugout. And then today, after the home run, he stares in the dugout, obviously with some intent.
That's what he got strike 2 with.
That's strike 3, and the ball goes over in the dugout, and now they're going to ask whether it was a foul tip, and Barney goes to first. There's no sign yet. Now the umpires are going to have a conference as to whether or if it was a foul tip. Gabe Morales never indicated that it was a foul ball. Now he's calling on the other 3 umpires, see if anybody had a foul tip, and this could be a real beef here.
Yeah, the catcher didn't move, the batter didn't move, the pitcher didn't move.
I didn't know how Barney could have made contact with that pitch. It was in the dirt, so far out in front of home. Watch this swing here.
Another breaking ball, curve ball.
He did foul tip.
Fouled it. From that one angle that we just saw, it looked like a foul ball.
Now Gibbons has been thrown out by Ted Barrett, the third base umpire. And I could feel it was going to be a beef, one side or the other.
His argument might be there was no sign that it was a foul ball, so now why are you calling it a foul ball?
Just because the other manager came out and asked for it? Ted Barrett is the crew chief for this umpiring crew. Robin Ventura came out and argued that it was a foul tip. Nobody went after it. Barney didn't run initially until he saw the ball way over by the dugout.
Yeah, David Robertson, the pitcher, sprinted off the mound, thinking that nobody touched it. Watch it. No sign, nothing. Now here comes Robertson because he hasn't heard anything. Like, usually a umpire will say foul tip or not. He doesn't say anything. But that replay shows that it clearly was tipped by Barney.
So a full count now. And the pitch. And a cutter, strike 3 called. And now Encarnacion is fuming. And he got tossed out of the game. And now he inadvertently bumped Carapazza as well. A pitch that certainly appeared to be outside. Again, a bit of a late call, and now John Gibbons gets tossed out.
Well, Vic Carapazza called Donaldson out on a high fastball. That looked like it was a breaking ball off the plate. Edwin's got a terrific eye, and he's been taking a lot of borderline pitches. And he got tossed very quickly by Vic Carapazza here in the first inning. This ball appears to be a breaking ball off the plate. And Carapazza calls him out. Edwin doesn't react strongly very often, but he's tossed in the first.
So not the way the Blue Jays wanted to get this holiday started. Scoreless at the end of one and 2 people tossed out.
He said one more word and you're out, and he pitched him out of the ball game.
Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief. The veteran is umpiring at first, and he intervened and kind of escorts Gibby back to the dugout. Russell Martin going back to the bench, and he wasn't pleased with the strike zone, and he's seen it firsthand, of course, catching today in front of Pat Hobart. This umpiring crew has had a very interesting last 4 games, going back to the foul ball check swing in Cleveland that resulted in a couple of runs scoring.
That's the crew chief, Jimmy Joyce, and you and I were talking with him before the ball game. He says 3 straight days we have had plays where he hasn't been. He's been in the game a long time. He says, I haven't seen those kind of games before, those plays before.
3-1 to Calhoun, 2 away.
Wait a minute. There's nobody on base. He quick pitched him there, 3-1. And the Blue Jays were saying, what happened?
Well, and Russell Martin's talking with Ramon De Jesus,
What's
the
going
umpire.
on?
It makes no sense at all. Stroman delivered the pitch, and De Jesus threw up his hands to call time.
So Marcus Stroman, as we know, he has that abbreviated delivery. He likes to change up his timing. He was standing on the pitching rubber, getting ready to throw the pitch. He got a sign from Martin. Instead of taking that little step back, he just lifted his leg and pitched the ball. He may be calling that an illegal pitch.
Time was not called.
And now Gibbons has been ejected.
I just think he made a mistake, the umpire, and they're just making something up here that just doesn't make any sense.
After the 3rd out of the inning, John Gibbons is hollering from the dugout, and Toby Basner throws him out of the ball game, which is ridiculous. Gibbons was standing in the dugout. There's no way in the world Basner can hear what he's saying. Russell Martin was called out on a borderline pitch. Martin walked back to the dugout, and all the while, Toby Basner was watching him.
He beat you with power.
They have great at-bats. Pesky.
And a base hit into right field. 1 run is home. Santana will be held. Now they've got Lindor hung up. Runner still at third base. Now he's coming home. The run will score. Now they better get an out somewhere, and they will.
Interference.
Interference on the Blue Jays. Interference on the Jays, impeding Lindor. So 2 runs score, and Lindor's getting second base.
Yeah, when the infielders give up the baseball, you got to get out of the baseline. And Santana broke around third. He was stopped by Mike Sarbaugh, the third base coach. Vic Carapazza is the umpire at second base. He's having a discussion with John Gibbons. Now watch the rundown here. Goins looks at third, and Lindor is controlling the rundown. Now when Travis unloads, he's got to get out of the base path. And you see the contact made. Vic Carapazza, the home plate umpire, or second base umpire, called it immediately.
You are taught to stay to the inside on any rundown. Both infielders to the inside. So as Gibby gets thrown out, you throw the ball and you just peel straight ahead, but you stay to the inside so you don't run into the runner.
Was that enough contact in your minds to be within the spirit of the rule that he should have been awarded second base? Is anything something? Anything is something.
Absolutely. Yes. Contact is contact.
So you think the right call was made?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, that's a bad turn of events for the Blue Jays.
And there's a conversation now. Little's hearing it from the Blue Jays dugout as well. It's been a tough game, and that's it. And he throws out John Gibbons, and hard to fathom that he could really tell what Gibbons was saying, other than he knew he was getting on him.
Gibby's going to get a say in before he leaves the field.
And Gibby has been tossed. And now Gibbons is jawing with the home plate umpire, and Gibby's just been thrown out. Lance Barksdale has thrown him out of the game. Gibbons obviously questioning the strike zone as he was walking to the mound. So Loop walks Souza to force in a run. It's a 3-2 ball game. Lance Barksdale, home plate umpire, has thrown John Gibbons out of the game.
Don't come out on the field. Tough to crank it back up.
Runner going again. The appeal. Now they stop the runner and they call him for a swing, and it's a double play. It was a check swing. The home plate umpire appealed the swing. Dan Bellino appealed to Phil Cuzzy. And now John Gibbons has given the home plate umpire the gears, and he threw Gibbons out of the game. Man, oh man, that's a quick trigger for Dan Bellino to throw John Gibbons out of the ball game. But Gibbons is saying, hey man, make a call. Got my guy hung up between first and second, and Gibby's been ejected by the home plate umpire. It was a check swing by Hernandez. The runner was on the move, and John Gibbons has been ejected. The inning is over. We'll talk about it more when we return to Minnesota. The Twins have a 1-0 lead early.
Strike 2 off the plate. Away. It's called a strike. Blue Jays haven't been happy with Buckner's strike zone all night. He strikes him out. He struck out. John Gibbons came out of the dugout to talk to the home plate umpire, C.B. Buckner, and he gets thrown out. And you go back to the first out of the inning. Dalton Pompey was called out on a bad pitch, a slider off the plate away. That was the first out of the inning. And John Gibbons was frustrated with the strike zone all night long, going back to Aaron Sanchez walking 3 batters in the first inning. For Gibbons, it's the 46th career ejection, second time he's been thrown out this season. But I'm kind of surprised he lasted as long as he did.
In the 6th. Over to first, Rev Snyder to the back of the bag. And a balk. A balk called by the plate umpire. And out comes Gibbons, who was ejected yesterday, and now he's going to be ejected again.
It's 47.
That's 47. That's right. Right on that. Field and Colbert coming in from second base. Tepera was talking with him. Now he cautions him to stay back while Colbert joins the conversation with Gibbons. Tepera had given up the home run, then got the ground ball. He walked Crone, and with Rev Snyder at first, he went over, and we'll take a look. Well, they want the step. I mean, that's close. That's really close.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. Making that call from behind the plate is where John Gibbons got hot, and I don't blame him.
Well, during the break, after the pitching change, John Gibbons stopped by home plate to have a chat with home plate umpire Lance Barrett. And then Barrett threw him out. And obviously it's about the strike zone, and we had talked about the strike zone for both of these two games. Very, very, very tight strike zone for both teams. And CC Sabathia was thrown out for the Yankees, and now Gibbons has been thrown out for the 4th time this season.
And it hit him in the knees, says home plate umpire Sean Barber. Petrichka is arguing. This is a reviewable situation. You can ask for a replay if the call is hit by pitch. And John Gibbons saying, hang on a sec. Petrichka really arguing. I think it had to be about that pitch, whether or not it hit him. He is steamed right now, and let's get a look at the replay.
It's a slider with 2 strikes. He's going for the strikeout.
Hit him in the back leg.
Yeah, there's no question that the ball hit him. I think the frustration is he wanted those pitches to the last 2 batters. He didn't get it, so he let him know it. And now John Gibbons is letting the umpire know it, and he throws him out.
So John Gibbons just got tossed on his way to the mound to make a pitching change. It started so well for Petrichka, it did not end well at all. Petrichka with more words for Barber on his way off the field as Luis Santos comes into the game. So the guy who started a couple of days ago is on in relief right now. The Blue Jays now trailing again, down by a run, and John Gibbons is making a beeline to home plate. He's already made the pitching change. He's already been tossed out of the game. And he may get his money's worth now that he's been tossed already, Tabby.
Yeah, the arguing is about balls and strikes, and that's why there was a quick hammer to throw him out of the game. He's getting some help now from the crew chief, Larry Vanover's come down now to try to take over this argument. But hey, give the umpire credit. He's been back there for 4 hours listening and umping this whole game. And he listened to what Gibby had to say, and then that's that.
So DeMarlo Hale will take over as the manager as Luis Santos begins his warm-up tosses. Santos is the 8th pitcher of this game.
Pilar's going to third. There's the throw from Higashioka, and he guns him down. Pilar gambling with 2 outs, and he loses this bet. He is thrown out on a terrific throw by the catcher, Higashioka. And that's what Gibbons is upset. Like, what are you looking at the scoreboard? And he's right. You can't get thrown out there. You're trying to mount a comeback. You don't see that very often from Gibbons, but that's a situation where you got to know what the score is. Pilar's thrown out at third to end the inning. Ground ball. Morales will come home. They get the force out. Return throw. Travis is in the air. He didn't get there in time. If he'd have got there on the bag, he would have had a chance to make the play. And John Gibbons is going to come out here, and I'm not sure what he's going to talk about. I just think he's frustrated.
That's the feeling I get too. And he wants to air him out just a little bit. We got a shot of him being frustrated last inning when Pilar got thrown out at third base, and I think he just wants to let some steam off.
Travis was late getting to the bag on that play, and he caught the ball before he got to first. He was in the air. Larry Vanover, the crew chief, is over, and John Gibbons has been thrown out here.
The stuff is there, is the command. And in a couple of the pitches to Sanchez and then that one to Torres, they haven't been bad misses. That's what John Gibbons is saying right there, or something to that effect. He just got tossed. I think Gibby just got tossed by Roberto Ortiz, the home plate umpire. Somebody did.
Yeah, and that was a little bit too short a fuse in my mind. Gibby was sitting down in the dugout. He wasn't demonstrative at all. Roberto Ortiz is a home plate umpire. He's a young umpire, just 33 years old. He's from Puerto Rico. He's only the 2nd full-time Puerto Rican umpire in the big leagues. And I think that was much too quick to throw out the manager.
I'm not sure it was Gibby now as I look down to the dugout. Luke Maile was really letting Ortiz have it. And I looked down as soon as Ortiz had tossed somebody out. Now Gibby's gone. So Luke Maile was the first guy who got tossed. And now John Gibbons is going to join him. Initially, and this is the pitch, and it might be an inch off the plate. It's a little bit outside, but I think that Maile and Gibbons both thought that Reed Foley had gotten squeezed a little bit in the Sanchez at bat as well.
Yeah, but there's no reason to throw somebody out hollering from the bench. And there you see Luke Maile leaving, and it's not like he's throwing helmets on the field or anything else.